Hey guys, what's up? Today we're in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to show you guys how to, for those that don't know, how to use a few pretty basic tools on how to edit and play with some fonts. So right here we have a font here. It's Arial Black, and it's a good font. It's nice. So let's see what we can do to kind of make this look a little more interesting. First of all, let's start by adding a stroke. If you don't know how to do that, select the font. Come down here to where you have these two little color swatches, and this one right here that has a box in it is your outline. So if you double click that, you're going to open up the color picker. Let's go down it, and you can see my default is already set at black. If you don't know what these are, that's black, yellow, magenta, and cyan or blue. So it's already set to black. That's perfect. Let's hit OK. Now what that's going to do is obviously create a stroke. And you know, that may or may not be enough. I'm going to pump up the stroke just for purposes of this video. At the top of the screen, you might have this. If you don't see that, if it doesn't pop up there for you, go to Windows, and then come all the way down here to where it says stroke. Now mine's already open. I'm going to close it out real quick and then reopen it just so you can see. Again, I just went to Windows, and now I'm going to click stroke, and you're going to see it pop up over here, and it did. So if you don't have it at the top, just open up the Windows and you'll find it. Here is the weight. That's the weight of the stroke or outline. It's called stroke in Illustrator. So if I click this over and over and over, you can see it grow. That's how you can add some a nice outline, and the outline can be any color you want, any thickness you want. Now, there are a couple little tools that you can use. Oh, right now I can't. Sorry, these are blocked out right now. I'll get back to that. So I got a stroke on that. Let's say that's what I want. It's a little thick, but for this, it's fine. Now let's play with it a little more. You can highlight click on your text tool over here. Highlight, double click to highlight it. And then you can come over here and you can play with some of these options in the character palette. If you don't have that open, it's Windows, and then go look for the word that says type, and it'll open up this palette, which will have character preferences and so on. And you can change your font here. You can change the from regular. This one doesn't have the option, but if it had italics and underlined, it would be there. And then these are more options. Some of these work. Some of these you need like a paragraph or at least 2 lines to work. Some of them work on just 1 word or even 2 letters. This is a good one to start with. It has the A and the V and these 2 arrows pointing each direction, showing you what it's talking about is the space between the A and the V. How big of a space do you want between the A and the V, or in this case, between all my letters. So just for the purposes of the video, we're going to go extreme here. And I'm going to click this down arrow, and it's going to bring up this box, and I'm going to click this 200. Now watch what happens. Okay, it just ballooned out. All my font creates this huge gap in between each letter. So now I'm going to undo that. Okay, and I'm going to come back over here to that same exact tool. I'm going to click it, but this time instead of negative 200 or positive 200, I'm going in negative 100. And you can see now they've all jumped closely together. Now that can be a cool way to just tighten everything up. Now it can make stuff really hard to read at times, especially if you don't have a stroke. Like if we kill the stroke, it'll probably be hard to read. Not bad actually, but sometimes it'll. If we went more than that, say if we went to 150, these letters would totally mesh into each other, which isn't a bad thing. It can actually look very cool, and it's part of typography that can be kind of cool looking. So let's put this at a negative 200 and see what happens. Okay, so now you can see what happens. You can see when you pull those in, those letters overlap each other. So let's go back and add that stroke. We're coming back down here again. We're going to double click that, and we already have our 100. We're going to click that. Now we have a stroke. We're going to come up here because I like using this one better, and I'm going to pump that up. Now what that does is it does add a little bit of interest to it. Now it's very strange looking. You can see all those weird overlaps, but it's kind of cool actually. There's nothing wrong with that. It's an interesting looking thing. Now I'm going to duplicate this because that way we can mess with more than one at a time. Now, what this is kind of interesting because you could do some interesting stuff with this. Let's highlight this. And I'm going to go back over to my palette here, and I'm going to take this from 200 down to -75. You know what? I'm going to pump that up even more. I'm going to go back to 100. Let's go back to 100. Okay, now why I did that was because now we have some letters that are very tightly nested to each other. And now we're going to play with it. Now I'm going to show you how to make it totally editable. So I'm going to option click on it. On a PC, I think it would be control click. I'm not sure. Right click and just right click for a PC. And it'll probably bring up create outlines. If it doesn't create, if you don't see create outlines, don't worry, don't panic. It's easy to do. Just again, if you got this highlighted and you can move it around, come up here to where you see type, and then come down here to create outlines. When you click that, it's going to make it editable in a different way. Now, one warning, once you do that, you can't come back here with the text tool and work on that font. It's not going to work. You have now eliminated that option. So, now that I've created this, caused this whole font to become created outlines, so don't let that freak you out. Just don't worry about it. You'll see what it does in just a second. I'm going to option click on it again, right click PC, and I'm going to hit ungroup. If you don't see ungroup, don't worry, come up here to object and come down here to where it says ungroup. Okay, so now I've ungrouped it. What does that do? Well, if I click outside the font, and let's say I just click on this H. Now look, I can just move the H now. The H is separate. The I is separate. The G is separate. The H is separate. Blah, 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 right? So on and so forth. Every one is now its own little piece. So now you can do kind of some cool things. One, you can just kind of push a letter up, bring a letter down, push this letter up, maybe push this one up a little bit, maybe pull this one down, maybe push this one out, maybe even rotate this one. So what I'm saying is you can play with this font now. Don't be scared to take this W and tweak it a little bit. Turn it that way. You know, grab this H and then click on this C and stretch those out. Make those a little bigger. And then, you know, pull this in like that. Maybe grab both of these, pull both in. Basically what I'm saying is the possibilities here are endless now with what you can do. You can stretch the C way out. And you can also go through and do some kind of interesting things. For instance, now let me show you this real quick. People will say, well, cool, I got all these letters separated, but how come this H, or this I, sorry, I'm an idiot, this I and the little knobby at the top, the little, I don't know, exclamation point on top, I don't know what the hell you call that thing, I know it's got a name, but I don't know it. I can't separate that. Okay, pretty easy. Again, right click. You're going to see something that says release compound path. Don't worry about what it is, it doesn't matter. Just click it, and all of a sudden that little box is now movable. Okay, so that's kind of neat and all, but where are we going with this? Okay, well, I'm just going to show you guys some quick little things to keep in mind when you're working with fonts. So I got two words here, but I don't really need them separated because, you know, normally you'd have them typed out kind of like this, and let me go over here and change my back to default here. My spacing to default. So normally if you have two words like this, what do? Well, you have a space. But a lot of times in graphics you don't need that space just by capitalizing, making letters bigger, making them bolder, adding some interest to it. So keep that in mind too. Like for instance, these could be very close. And you can still really read the difference. To make it really pop, let's say you select this chew word, and we're just going to pick a random color here. We're not going to worry about the color too much. And you can just add a different color to it. And then you're going to get, you're going to clearly see there's two words there, but it's going to be quick for your brain to snap in and know exactly what you're looking at. You're looking at two words. There's no confusing it. Now, if you wrote this thing, you know, a little bit more confusing, then you know you might have more issues. For example, if you were to write it like this, Haichu, that might be that's much more difficult to just quickly look. I mean, if you look at these two fonts, this one's a mess down at the bottom. It's got stuff going everywhere. The letters are all screwed up. The I's messed up. The E's twisted. But still, you look and you're going to very quickly see a difference there. Your brain's going to click and go, I get it. Those are two different, especially once you do something like that, it's going to really pop. Now you're like, oh, 2 words. Now you can easily even go here and add, let's say the next word is chocolate. Okay. Now you can make this even more confusing by dropping this in there, and even making it a mess. Let's say it goes here. You can see that doesn't look good. The stroke's too thick. That's easy to fix. Just bring down that stroke a little bit. I just pumped it up because I'm a moron. So let's go back here, and if you just click this little button right here, as long as you have this stroke palette forward, or whatever you call it thing, you hit that button, and your stroke is going to disappear. So nesting letters is kind of cool too. This one I would also right-click on. I would convert to create outlines, and then ungroup it. And the reason why I would do that is because I would come in here and I would zoom in a little bit, and I would start playing with this font too to match. So like for instance this C, I can make this C bigger. Yeah, that looks good. And this O, I'm going to bring in this C, I'm going to maybe twist just a teens and then pull it up, and then this O, I'm going to pull that in and maybe leave a little bigger gap there just for some interest. I'm going to take here, I'm going to grab these, I'm going to pull this in. This A, I'm actually going to twist the other way, just the schmidge. What's going on here? Well, let me grab it. There we go. And grab this a little off. I'm going to pull it up. This T, I'm going to drag it in. And this O, I'm just going to lift it up a little bit and pull it in. Then this W, I'm going to bring it down to fit a little better. And I'm actually going to stretch it out a little bit to make it a little bigger because I want it to hang down. I don't want it to touch, but I want it to be close. This E, you can see, is majorly overlapping the H there. Not a problem at all. I don't mind that. And overall, that's not bad looking. The C, I think I'm going to actually stretch it down just a tidbit. You just listened to a video where they said tit. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, we're not looking at like a masterpiece, but what we're looking for is interest, and that is more interesting than, say, this. If that was on a candy bar, you might notice it. If this was on a candy bar, you might not notice it. It just doesn't. Oh, sorry. And as you can see, it wasn't like I spent an hour working on this. This was something that I just threw together without even really thinking about it. I didn't plan this out. I didn't write this down in advance. I just popped in, or just hit record on my computer, and I went to Illustrator, and I just started messing around. So you can see that would be the default. For someone that didn't know how to do graphic design or work with fonts in Illustrator, that would be maybe the best you could do. Which might be fine in some cases. But if you're going for something a little more whimsical, a little bit more fun, again, like I said, the one above it is not a masterpiece. There's a lot of stuff wrong with it that needs to be fixed and tweaked and messed with. But it gives you a good place to start. That's a great way to start. And it's kind of like 101. That's what I would call it. That's text 101 for you. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will definitely do more. I will get more advanced. I'll show you guys how to mold these fonts together, how to pull each letter so they're one unit, how to twist things and distort things and change colors and outlines and multiple outlines and outlines inside outlines and all kinds of cool stuff. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this one, and I'll make some more. So again, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.